Hello, I'm sorry you can't be in class today. So I tried to put together a video so you could get through the objectives and you could start on the library assignment and you could continue your research. I'll be there for class number 5, but I apologize. So here we go with the video and with like I rub my nose and an adjustment of my glasses. Here we go. So first of all, let's go through the objectives. I did this in Illustrator. Very low tech. Oh, my little font. Okay, objective number 1. Today we're going to be looking at impact. What the heck is impact? In scholarship, impact is something of an academic currency. So if you publish an article and nobody ever reads it, you could considerably say that, well, maybe I have some impact because it did get published in a peer-reviewed journal, but it might not be that important. But if you publish an article and all of a sudden you get 27,000 people that not only read your article, but they have to cite it when they're doing their own research. So in essence, your research has created the ability for other people to do their research. That's when you get things like tenure and grants and Nobel Prizes and streets named after you and that whole thing. So number 1, you're going to understand and demonstrate knowledge of the concept of impact in academic research. Second thing, I picked a different font and color for each one. You're going to learn how to use impact in your own research. Impact is something that with the computer and internet databases that have come on in the last couple decades, you are able to let that guide your research. Whether that introduces bias or not, I don't know, but we're not going to deal with that today. We're just going to look at those things. And then lastly, you're going to learn what a systematic review is. It's time we had the talk about what a systematic review is. And you're going to create, for your library assignment, a very miniature systematic review. Don't worry, it's fun, and it's nice to know what it is, because people sometimes use it as a scary word, systematic review. Okay, open up your web browsers, please. You may pause the YouTube video if you wish, but I'm going to continue while you're opening up your web browsers. The first thing that I would like you to go to demonstrate impact is I would like you to go to Google and look up something called Google Trends. Trends, Google Trends. That's hard to enunciate. Google Trends is out on the open web. And essentially what they do is take all of the search data and they align it with the IP numbers so they can figure out where people are searching from and look for what's trending in particular states. That's kind of cool. There's it's eye candy and it's fun to just cruise through. You can see what people are looking for Halloween. Ooh, the search term corn maze came up. But the main thing that I wanted to have you do is go in and search for something related to your team. I'm going to do immigration. A single keyword, bigger keywords are fine, but a main concept. And what you can see is a date range, and this is similar to what we've looked at in some other databases. Do you remember the newspapers database that we looked at last time, and you could see the date range of things trending? This is similar, except it's a 1-year time span. And I think you can change the years, and you can see all sorts of different things like that. You can also go in and you can see what states, and you can mouse over the states. This is just like Social Explorer that we looked at. And you can see the ranking of the search interest. They don't care about it as much in Idaho, a little less in Montana. But if you go to California, it bumps up quite a bit. Arguably, this is impact of the concept. So it's not of a particular research article, but it's impact of a particular concept. So a trend might be something that many people are interested in for one reason or another. So this is a handy way of showing what a current impact is on pop culture. Another one that I want to show you, open up a new tab. This one's just fun to mess around with, but open up a new tab, and we're going to look up something called Google Ngram. Another one that's hard to enunciate, so I'll show this one. Google Ngram Viewer. Many years ago, like 10 or so, Google went to 3 or 4 huge academic libraries like UC Berkeley, Michigan, and things like that. And they had these scanners and they scanned every book, essentially in North America in academic libraries. So what you can do is you can see by date the impact of any word. It's fun to put naughty words on this one too, but I'm going to do automobile. I'll do something boring, and you can see times when those things trended. This is something where you can see, and mostly this is English speaking in North America, but you can see when there was an impact of a certain concept. So you could look for civil rights, for example. And you could see, oh, it was being buzzed about a little bit. This is the percentage of all the books that it shows up. This number is hard to usefully interpret. But this is the dates when it would show up. So civil rights, civil rights, civil rights. There's not a blip there for the right for women to vote. And I would suggest because they were using different terminology than civil rights. It might be a jargon issue. But all of a sudden, right after the war, it starts going up. Why does that happen? And then in the 1960s, all of a sudden, it goes up even farther. That's pretty fascinating. And it's interesting that it goes down in 1980. I don't know what's going on there. But if you put a comma, you can make comparisons and see if there's a correlation between trends. This one's pretty fun. So I'm going to do protest. So you do, oh, you know what? I think you take away a space. You can do civil rights, comma, protest. And it'll show both of those at the same time. And then all of a sudden you see the women's right to vote shows up as a peak. That's my guess for that one. But on this one, you can clearly see that civil rights and protest correlated. So that's an interesting way of looking up trends. When you go to the newspapers database or you look in that Demographics Social Explorer database, you can do similar things. But how do you get into when an author writes something in scholarship and how much impact that piece of data and research had for the things following it? That'll be my next video. So pause and mess around with these things for a little while before you go to my next video. And look for trends related to your topic, especially in Google Trends, and see if something is showing up in pop culture that you might have missed. So you can use this as a quick validation session.